Hello YouTube, welcome to The Prepared Mind. Coffee is good. The subject of bug out locations has been a big point of talk and discussion on the internet for a couple of years now. And I've always liked thinking about it and the ideas surrounding it. And by bug out, for the purposes of this discussion, I don't mean the Captain Caveman style of bugging out, where you grab your bag and whatever you can carry and then just run off to the woods or drive to the woods and run into the woods to live. In this definition of bug out, I mean a secondary location, a place of safety, a general area that you plan on going to that has resources, or a cabin. It can be stocked, or you could be taking materials and supplies to it when you bug out. So that's what I mean by bug out for the purposes of this discussion. And what's come up in the past is whether to leave right away or whether you're going to bug out after a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks at some time when you feel it's right, when you're thinking that it's time to go, when it'll be safest. So I'm looking at bugging out in this sense, and I have a lot of good questions that I have to ask. Primarily, we've all probably got a good idea what it's like to go on vacation, to the beach, to the lake, to the mountains, to go camping at a river or a stream, or just heading out into the middle of nowhere. On any given weekend or week holiday, when we go to the lake, we find that it's crowded. We always say things like, let's leave early so we are sure to get the best camping spot, or get our favorite camping spot up in the mountains or at the lake or at the river. So in Shit Hits the Fan, we're not just going to be dealing with people choosing which vacation to go on. We're going to be dealing with a lot of people who have a general idea of where they want to go. So I guess the question we have to ask ourselves is, our bug out location, is it really going to be private? Is it going to be secret? Is it going to be secure? For example, if you have a house or a cabin, little hideaway up in the mountains or up at a lake or over by the ocean, do you really expect it to be relatively private, calm, and serene during Shit Hits the Fan? What are the odds of other people having the same idea you do and going to that general area? I think the odds are pretty high. If just a very small percentage of the population goes on vacation on the weekends and on holidays, what do you think is going to happen during Shit Hits the Fan when they all have the same idea at the same time because of the same event? Now we're not dealing with a small percentage, we're dealing with a pretty big percentage, a much higher percentage, maybe 10 times higher. So what is normally a crowded lake or crowded river or crowded beach is going to be an extremely crowded place. At least that's what I'm thinking. If I'm wrong, please tell me. Write in the comments why I'm wrong, what you think is going to be the difference, the different factor there. Do you think there will be roadblocks? And if there's roadblocks that would stop them, won't those roadblocks be the same ones that stop you when you decide it's time to go? So let's assume there are no roadblocks and people get to the lakes and the mountains and the streams and the camping, campouts, campsites, because they're going to head to the hills. During hunting season, there's only so many hunting permits or licenses that are issued. And that's because they have a wildlife population control. They don't want them overhunted, the deer and other wild game. But when Shit Hits the Fan, when people head to the woods, they're going to be shooting everything. If it flies, it dies, right? It's a waterfowl saying. So when they get to the woods, and they get to the outlying areas, the recreational areas, Do you think that everything that moves through the air and across the ground is going to get shot? I have a feeling that, yeah, that's going to be the way it is. People are going to hunt game to supplement the food preparations they brought. And that's if they're preppers. If they're Captain Caveman who's going to hunt as he goes, they're going to be shooting everything they can. And if they're just people running for their lives because they're scared, they're also going to shoot and hunt everything and be very scared, very concerned. So if you have a place, a cabin, a house, a bunker, something that can be found by others, do you expect your food and your preparations to stay safe? You know, if you wait 1 week to go up into the mountains or go to your place of safety, your bug out location, or you wait 2 weeks or you wait 3 weeks, can you reasonably expect the area to be unpopulated or lightly populated, or are you expecting it to be heavily populated? Are you expecting your house or your bunker to be unmolested, or do you expect there to be some scavenging? You know, if it is a bunker, do you have a giant steel door that's locked down with a chain and no one can cut it, bang their way in, or yank it off with a truck, something tied to the bumper or the axle or the frame? You know, will people do that? I'm going to contend that after just a few days, that's going to start if it doesn't start sooner. You know, say day 1 and 2, people bug out. They're up at the lake, someone finds your cabin, someone finds your bunker complex, because they're going to be scouting the woods for food. They're going to start foraging pretty quick. They're going to realize that, whoops, we came up here and we don't have enough to make it. So do you really expect there to be wild game if you don't show up right away? And even if you did show up right away, you're all competing for the same resources. So what is your plan? You know, are you prepared when you get to your location and you walk up and you see that people have tugged on the chains and pulled on them? You can see where the rust is pulled off of the chain, right? You can tell someone's been working on it with little crowbars, but they can't get in. When you get there and you roll up in your car a week later into SHTF, and there's already people running around acting stupid and being hungry, right? You roll up in your bug-out armored vehicle, the back packed with as much food as you could and your entire group in tow. There's going to be people showing up at your door when you open that bunker. They're going to want to know what's inside. They're going to expect you to share. Okay, it's one thing to have a location where you're sitting at and you're guarding, and you've got signs posted, stay the fuck out, you know, trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot again. Right? They show up and you can turn them the fuck away. But if they're already there, camped out on your property, how are you going to get by them? How are you going to get into your own place without them knowing that you've got something they want? You've got a whole new situation on your hands. I'm not saying it can't be taken care of, it can't be fixed. I'm just saying, have you taken that into account? You know, there's a lot of good videos out there about how to travel when shit hits the fan, in convoys, how to space the vehicles, how radio contact will be critical in maintaining operational security and safety, who drives up front, what type of arms to carry. There's a lot of good stuff on that. But when you finally get to your location, you're going to have people running around, I contend, people running all over the fucking place. I think a good indication of that will be campfire smoke. And I don't mean that the woods necessarily need to be set on fire, but well, that may be also a factor. But you're going to see streams of smoke, right? Little wispy smoke vapors rising into the air from campfires. That's going to tell you how many people there are and where. If your location, which you think is secret and safe, because in normal times there just aren't that many people out there. But in shit hits the fan, there's going to be a lot of people that head for the hills. And if you wait a week, are they going to be dug in like ticks? Are they going to consider themselves, you know, the new owners of the property? Because shit hits the fan, essentially, there's no There's no rules, right? It's might makes right. Whoever wins the gunfight gets the assets, right? Am I wrong? If there's a dispute over who owns the property that your bunker sits on, where are you going to go? The police? You can't go to court. You can't, pull a deed out with a map and say, look here, it's mine. I paid for it. Someone could very well say, no, it's mine, motherfucker. And finders, keepers, losers, weepers, 90% of possession is 90% of ownership. Right? Whoever possesses it. Possession is 9/10 of the law, whatever that frickin' saying is. Man, I love coffee. Okay. So let's say your bunker, little bunker complex, it's a con vault half buried in a hill and camouflaged with bushes. It's discovered at your bug out location, and someone does manage to get in. And now them and their families are living out of your property, your location, your supplies. They're eating your food stocks. They even have your guns, your rifles, your pistols, your gear. They're wearing your fucking gear that you had safely stored up there, which you had all right to do during a nice law and order scenario. But now there is no law and order. Now it's without the rule of law, or the rule of right makes might makes right, and possession is 9/10. So they're sitting there. How do you get your shit back? Have you thought about this? Were you so confident that your property is unassailable and that you can get there and that no one else will fuck with it? Are you that confident? Maybe you are. That would be great. That is good for you. Other people probably have other concerns. I've watched on TV and documentaries where people have had their shit stolen on YouTube. There's videos on YouTube about it where people have broken into their prepper locations and stolen their shit, generators, things of value right now. I'm sure they didn't steal the food, but now those people consider them pre-marauders, pre-scavengers. They know where that place is. They have a good idea what's there. They know whoever did that has a lot of money. There's probably going to be back and bring even more expensive shit. So those are the questions I have. If you plan to bug out, if you wait too long, will people take possession of your stuff? And even if they can't get into the con vault, are they going to claim a percentage of ownership when you show up? Are they going to demand to be taken care of? What are you willing to do when they don't back down? Remember, after 2 weeks, a lot of people are going to be very hungry, very scared. And if you show up 2 weeks after shit hits the fan to your location, you're going to have some trouble. Even a week after shit hits the fan. Shit hits the fan. Let's go with the one of the worst ones. Grid down. Power grid down. No power. Which means no water, no food, no refrigeration, no medicine, no law enforcement. Just sparse continuity of government activity. So I would like to hear from you guys. How do you think of this? I love the idea of bugging out to a safe location. I don't like the idea of waiting too long for a variety of reasons. Roads can be torn up by tractors, people trying to isolate their area and make it their safe zone. And if there's only a couple roads leading to where you're going, and they're all taken down, they're inaccessible because there's no way to ford a river. The bridge that went over it was already, put in the best place, which is precarious for anything other than, a large construction company to have made a bridge there. So if you can't get to it, it doesn't do you any good. So do you wait that long? How can you trust the people that live in that area not to do such things and wait for you to get there? Are you a priority to them? Hopefully there's going to be some intelligence out there, some good thinking, some way to communicate with people. So if you wait too long, are bridges and roads going to be torn up? Will there be roadblocks? There's another one. Trees, dropped across the road, things drug out, automobiles placed in the way so that you can't get past them. Very effective roadblocks. If you wait too long, can you expect to get past those? Can you expect the people in that area that have made those roadblocks to let you pass? Do you have a way to talk to them so that once you decide to bug out, you can make it? Bugging out is going to be a tricky thing if it's not done right away. But we've all talked about what happens when we bug out right away. There's going to be traffic jams and congestion. There are going to be fights as a result of running out of gas, flat tires, accidents. When shit hits the fan and people in mass decide to leave the cities because of riots, lack of food, water, you can expect a lot of those people that would normally not be carrying weapons to be carrying weapons. And not being used to using them or thinking of them as a defensive tool will look to them as offensive tools to get their way. So bugging out at the very beginning, dangerous. Right? So people have talked about alternative and low traffic routes. So I'd like everyone to rethink, do you wait a week or two to go where you're going? Can you reasonably expect to make it past the roadblocks, destroyed roads and bridges to get to your place of safety? And when you get to your place of safety, what do you expect to find? In our minds, I know that we tend to romanticize things. It's one of my faults. I don't mean romantic in a loving way, but idealize a scenario and make sure that everything in that scenario fits the model in my head. That's what I mean by romanticizing. Have you romanticized your bug out location and plan? Is it like a Schwarzenegger movie where you just kick everyone's ass and you blow through? Let's say you kick everyone's ass and they blow 2 of your fucking tires out. It's not game over, but you got a fucking problem. It's hard to factor in everything that's going to happen in SHTF. And when you finally make it to your bug out location, there's going to be people in the hills. There's going to be people, if you live in the prairies, people out in the middle of nowhere that either went there intentionally or got stranded along the way. And you're going to see them. And they're going to see you. And they're going to know you've got something good if you've got your shit together. If I see a convoy of trucks, civilian trucks, and shit hits the fan, I'm going to know that those people are traveling together and they got their shit together. Onesie twosies are not as big a deal as a convoy of 4, 5, 6, or 8 vehicles. I'm going to be interested in where they're going and what they have, because if I'm a marauder or scavenger, I'm going to want to take their shit. If I have a good heart and good intentions, I'm going to try and join them because I want help. I don't want me and my family to die. If that were the case for me, I'm stuck, stranded out in the middle of nowhere. Now, if I'm 30 miles from wherever that convoy is going, I don't have a whole lot of choice unless I stop the convoy. I may get shot just trying to address the convoy. Waving arms and hands. They may see me before I get to that point and just wax me. But when you get to your location with your convoy, anybody in the general area within just a few miles will probably know about your arrival and your passing. And as soon as you strike camp, people love to strike camp, set up tents. This is all, analogous. But the one thing that's going to give us away is fires, cooking fires, the smell of food. The smell of fire, the smell of food, the visual of the fire, and the sound of a large group arriving. Vehicles rumbling, people talking, orders being barked and shouted. Right? It's going to get a lot of attention out there. These are just all things I wanted to talk to you about and ask you about. How will you get to shit hits the fan after a week or two? Does your plan take that in? If you're leaving right away, how are you going to deal with people? There's going to be a lot of people. There's probably going to be a lot of people for the first 2 weeks, because the people in week 1 that are going to be out there, they're going to be stranded. They're going to be walking around in a dazed and confused, frame of mind. They're going to be looking for food. When you bug out of your house and you go to say you've got a cabin and you don't have any supplies in it, so you can just leave it unlocked, people go in and out, there's nothing for them to steal. I'm sure some people are going to take up home there, though. They're going to decide, well, there's nothing here. No one wants this. I'm going to live here. Well, you show up a week later. You've got a giant truckload of MREs and good food, right? 2 or 3 vehicles show up. Vroom. What are you going to do? They live in your house, right? Are you going to kick them out? Are they going to leave? They know you've got food. You showed up not because you're an idiot, but because you're prepared with your food, your weapons, your group. The people, and it's not just going to be one, it's going to be probably groups of people trying to live together, trying to combine what they have as far as mental capacity and skills to try and eke out a living when they get out in the middle of nowhere, wilderness, beach, river, lake, mountains, swamps. Don't want to leave you swamp guys out. There's a lot of good resources down in the swamps. Resources with regard to food and privacy and protection and shelter from stupidity and other parts of humanity. Anyways, when you show up, there's going to be someone in your cabin. You're going to kick them out? Fuck yeah, it's yours. You paid for it, damn it. It's your plan. You showed up. You think they're just going to go away? You know, so are you going to accept them into your group? You're going to put them to work? You're going to wax them? What is your plan? Does your plan take into the account that thing? So, I probably blabbed a good long time about this, but it is a really good topic. And if you've made it to the end, I want to thank you. You must be a subscriber and you must be a regular commenter and a good, just a good prepper in general, wanting to find out what the fuck I'm trying to say here. I'm just trying to lay out everything that bugging out entails and all the troubles I see with it as far as food, location, travel, safety, everything. So I would like you to share your plans to the extent you're comfortable, your concepts about travel, about other people, about security, the security of your home, what you're going to do about things. Okay, this is The Prepared Mind. I thank you for watching the video, and I hope you have a great, great day.